What's up, everybody? Sean here.
And Tony with 2 E's.
And we are converttogeek. And today we're going to be doing a review on the game Overboss. So this game is produced by Brother Wise Games. It's designed by Johnny and Chris O'Neill. And it plays 1 to 5 players in about 20 to 30 minutes. Me and my wife both did this as a 2-player playthrough, and we found that it did play fairly quickly, as the box suggests. Before we get too much into gameplay and what the game is all about, I was going to get Tony's impression of what she thought of the game, because she actually picked this one out. So what drew her to it and what she thought of it before we actually even got it to the table. So
awesome. So this was a game that we kept passing by in the gaming go. I picked it up, looked at it, picked it up, looked at it, and finally we just went ahead and got it because I was drawn to it. I don't know if it was the pixelated and it was very retro, looks like old Nintendo stuff. So I love the retro Nintendo. I grew up playing it as a kid, so I had to have it.
So now we're just going to do a brief little overview of what the gameplay is all about, kind of the mechanics of the game. It's not a full playthrough on like how to score and all that, but just to give you an idea of what's inside the box and kind of how it all flows. So Overboss is a tile drafting and tile placement game. So prior to the beginning of the game, you're going to pick 5 terrain types of tiles, and there are 10 that come with the game. To either start with what the game recommends if it's your first play, or you will just randomly select 5 different types of terrain tiles. You also have some dungeon tiles that will play in every game. So you'll have 5 different ones that vary game to game, and dungeon tiles that are in every game. And you're going to shuffle all those 5 tiles together along with the dungeon tiles, and then you're going to mix them all up and put them into little stacks. Okay, and then you're going to randomly draw 4 from the shuffled up terrain tiles, and you're going to lay them out. And then each terrain type also has a little token associated with it that is a little minion, and it also has a token that's a crystal. And you're going to put all those in a bag with some portals and some mini bosses, and you're going to shuffle those up in the bag. And you're going to put 1 by every tile that's on the game, and then that will start the market. There will always be 4 options available in the market, because as soon as somebody drafts a tile and a token, you immediately replace it, and then it's the next player's turn, so they're always going to have 4 options. Everybody's going to have their own little player board, and one side of the board is a 3x4, and the other side of the board is a 4x4. On the 3x4 side here down the bottom right is a little layer that comes into play if you get tokens that you can't place. So once you draft your tile and your token, you're going to take that and you're going to put it in an unoccupied space somewhere on your board. Now each tile is a little different, so it might like a different space on the board, but you're going to put it on the board.
All right, Sean, I have a question. So what are these numbers and these characters at the bottom of each tile? What do those do?
All right, so all the tiles will have little symbols, and so one of the little symbols just kind of shows the terrain type that it is, whether it's a forest or a swamp or a camp, and that'll be on the bottom left side of the tile. And then on the bottom right side of the tile will be kind of the scoring rules for that particular tile, and each one is different. Some, the more of them you have, the more points you get. Some, you have to have different types of them in order to score. Some just score a base point. Some score more if you put a certain type of token on it. So basically that's just going to give you a quick reference. So when you put it on your board, you kind of know what's going on with it.
Okay.
So you're going to put that tile on your board, and then you're going to take the token, the little token that you drafted with it, and you're going to put that on top of the tile that you just drafted. Now, there are a few exceptions to that. So portals never go on a tile. They just go into your layer. Same thing with crystals. And minions and mini bosses will always go on the tile you drafted unless you have another open space on your board. So like if you drafted a tile and a portal earlier in the game, then that tile would go on your board and the portal would go in your layer. Then later on when you drafted that tile and that particular minion that was with it, like the tile you drafted before that, then you could go ahead and put that minion on it. But the little minions and mini bosses have to go on a tile if one is available. It can't just go in your layer for a later chance.
And what do the crystals do?
So the crystals, if you get the little crystal, they're for in-game scoring, and they give you 1 point for every tile you have in your tableau. of that particular type. So if you have a bunch of camps in your tile and you have the crystal for camps, then for each one in your tile, you get one more point.
Oh, okay.
So they can be a good little bonus to your in-game scoring. There are some tiles, the dungeon tiles, you can't put nothing on, in which case that little guy would just go in your layer. So the little minions like to go on the tile of the terrain of their choice. So like witches like swamps, dragons like caves. And at the end of the game, they're worth a little bonus point if you put them on the tile that they like. But also, if you place minions in a row, it creates a band. So if you put 2 next to each other, that's a band of 2. If 3 across is a band of 3. And then the biggest is across on the 3x4 going across your board would be a band of 4. And they just kind of multiply like 1 point, 2 point, 5 point, 7 point. Mini bosses are just always worth 2 points. And no matter what tile they're on, they're just worth 2 points. The crystals we talked about. And then the portals, looks like a little portal and it's got a little like green light inside the portal. And then when you flip that over to the non-green light side, that means you've used it and it allows you to swap 2 tokens on your board. But you can't take a token from your layer and move it out onto your board. You can only swap tokens that are already out on your board.
Okay.
So you can like just swap 2 locations, or if you already had an open one, you can move 1 to that open one, then 1 from another tile to the one you just opened up. So 2 tiles. All right, so then that play continues. You know, you draft a tile, you draft a token, you put on your board, and that continues until everybody's board is completely full. Once everybody's board is completely full, then you're going to score it out and you're going to see who becomes the overboss. And I'm not going to get into the scoring because they have little different rules on where you place them and stuff like that. I felt like the rule book did a good job of kind of covering all that. The game has 2 styles. So it has a basic and it has an advanced play style to it. So the basic game is just that. And the game actually suggests that you start with the basic land tiles. There's basic land tiles and advanced terrain tile. It suggests that you start with the 5, which is good for new players because it kind of helps ease them into the game. And, you know, if they've never played these type of games or whatever, it is a lot easier learning curve to play with those, and it's not too much going on, and you can't affect each other in any way. So if you just want a kind of peaceful puzzle Zen-like experience of just drafting these tiles and putting them onto your board, then the basic gameplay, the basic variant of the game will fill that need. What do you think?
Yeah, I felt like it was really easy to follow, especially for a new player like myself. It wasn't too difficult and it was easy to catch on. I felt like after a couple minutes though, I was ready for a challenge.
Okay. So it is really like, man, the basic rule is overall the game, even with the advanced, is a pretty light game. I mean, there's no fooling on that. It's not a brain burn any means, even playing with the advanced variants, but the basic version is just that. I mean, it's just you're laying tiles, and I still found it to be fun because you ain't gonna get mad at anybody. Like Tony didn't want to kill me in the basic gameplay, but that's not necessarily the case. When we got into the advanced rules, I almost had to sleep on the couch. So we'll get into those and talk a little bit about
the night's not over.
Variants. All right, so in the advanced game, so there are basic land tiles that we talked about, it suggests. Then there's what they consider advanced tiles, and they do a little more like, you know, a volcano, man. When you put a volcano in your deal, it blows up all your minions, so you got to be real careful about drafting those.
But they're worth a lot more points.
They are worth more. They're worth more base points. You don't really got to do nothing to.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like the middle of the road. Not the highest level point you could get, but not the lowest point you could get. So it does add a little bit of like thoughtfulness on, all right, now how am I going to put these and what am I going to draft into my little tableau? So I like those. I feel like it does add to the replayability of the game by having those extra tiles. And then when you mix them all together, it really creates a different experience every time. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. And also with the advanced version, it has a take that element to the game, which I liked. And it also introduced these command cards, and it's a good way to screw your partner over, or your opponent, I guess you would say. And there's 3 different command cards. There's Intimidate, Demolish, and Overthrow. And for Intimidate, you can slide one of their pieces anywhere on the board, anywhere to an open spot. Demolish, it allows you to destroy one of their tiles with the minion on it. So if they have a high scoring tile with a minion, you can just demolish it. And to overthrow it, you can swap 2 tiles. So if you want to swap one of yours with one of theirs, you can do that. And in order to activate these, you just have to, there's a little pattern on these cards, and you just have to duplicate the pattern on your board in order to activate it. And those made it very interesting. Wouldn't you say?
I 100% agree, and I would just like to tell the viewers, now you know who the meaner of the two are. Because these command cards, any of them, you can do on your own board. However,
that's no fun.
However, you'll notice that she said
Your
their
opponent.
board, their board, their board.
Their board.
So you can tell who
I'm not gonna
these
blow up
cards
my board.
were used on. Me.
I'm not going to
every
demolish my poor little innocent minion.
So if you drafted a tile you wasn't too happy with, you could demolish your own tile and get it off the board. When you demolish one, you immediately draft one. So if you think, oh man, if I get rid of this and get that, I can get a few more points, and you can demolish your own. But it also can affect others. And although we only play in a 2-player, I imagine that gets way more chaotic with 5 people.
Yeah.
Because you're swapping other people's boards around and moving their stuff, and then they're affecting you, and then it could get to be really ugly. And I used a couple of them on her too. I'm no angel.
You didn't. I didn't see you demolish your own dungeon.
Another advanced variant to the game is these boss cards, and there are several in the box. And if you want to use them at the beginning of the game, you're going to deal 2 to each player. They're going to look at them in secret. They're going to pick which one they want to keep, and the other one goes back into the box. Now, what's neat about these boss cards is that they stay a secret, and they have 2 functions. One is a reveal, so until you reveal it, nobody knows what your boss does. Once you reveal it, you get this little reveal power, which will let you maybe move some stuff around, let you draft twice, swap out some tokens. They all do different stuff. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that they do is they add another scoring ability to your little tableau. So some will score dungeons more. Some will score based on how many tiles you have on your board, how many minions, if you have crystals. Like they just add one more scoring element that until you reveal, nobody even knows that you're going for. So you could actually score, another 5, 6, 7, 8 points from your boss that everybody else don't even know that you've scored.
Right. Do you think it was easy teaching me to play this game?
Yeah, this game I felt was a very easy, very teachable game. It's not very complex. I do recommend though, like if you're playing with somebody that has never played these type of games, then I would absolutely start with the basic, because then it's pretty easy. And it might take a couple things to catch on that, how's this score and like where I should put things to kind of optimize some stuff. But once they play one time through, and I mean it literally takes 20 minutes to play the basic, they're going to have it, and then you can be off and running.
I agree.
So which did you like better, the basic or the advanced
I
style?
like the advanced style. I like that mechanic, and it added more to the game, and it was a lot more fun. Even though you demolished my dungeon.
I did. And the rule book says for the more malevolent bosses, you may want to add in the command cards. I like the advanced because, it just adds more to it. It gives you more things to think about and more things to worry about, because, when you put stuff in your board, you could be feeling pretty good about it, and all of a sudden somebody moves your stuff or blows it up or takes one thing. Yeah. There is some tension to the drafting. There was one where I was drafting these tiles that if I put the right minion in it, gets a little more extra points. But Tony kept drafting every time they came out. She kept drafting the tiles that had those little minions. So I never got the opportunity to put them onto those tiles.
I'm so
So
sorry.
that adds to the tension though of like, man, am I going to get it? Am I going to get the opportunity to do that? So one thing I will point out about the game is that there is quite a bit of maintenance. So you have to pick those tiles. Now they do put some little cards in there that help with that. You can mix these up and randomly pick 5 cards. and that'll tell you which terrain you're going to use for the game to kind of make that different every time. But if you play a game and then you're like, man, let's play it again, there is maintenance because you got to separate out all the tiles, you got to separate all the tokens, and then redraft it out and then reset it up. So there is maintenance if you're going to like play even after the game, even if you're just going to throw it back in the box. You still got to separate all that stuff out, or it'd be just dreadful to play the next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Another point I'll make is that the insert for the game, like usually inserts aren't always the greatest, but in this particular case, the insert for the game is really nice. It organizes the little minions and the little crystals with the token set really nice, and everything's in there. So you take the time to separate all that stuff out and put it where it belongs. When you pull it off the shelf, I mean, you pick those 5 trains, you throw all the stuff together, shuffle it all up, and you're ready to play. So the little insert does make the game a little, it helps in the speediness and the quickness of being able to set up and organize your stuff between games. All right, so Tony, what are your final thoughts on the game?
Well, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very easy game to learn. I picked up on it really fast. I didn't feel like the rules were too complex, and for me it was very nostalgic for me. You know, I've grown up playing video games my entire life, from the Super Mario Brothers on NES, Legend of Zelda. This game reminded me so much of Legend of Zelda, and it was so fun to see all the tiles on the board, and it was very pixelated, and it looked so cool.
Right on, and I agree. I'll echo that. Like, I love older video games, and this game kind of captures that. I mean, that's the kind of draw of it, I think. Probably a lot of people are thinking, but is there a game in there? And I think there's a game in here. If you like tile placement, it's just a little different, you know, with having to place those tokens. It's not a brain burner, you know what I mean? It's not like this, oh man, you know, this really deep strategic, you know, what am I going to do, tactical type of game. But I really had a lot of fun playing it.
Me too.
And it offers I felt like some pretty good choices, and I felt like it added a good amount of tension. So I definitely think there's a game inside the box. I really enjoyed it. I love the way it looks when all the tiles are on the board.
Me too.
When you score it, you know, it comes with a little score sheet that kind of does help with it, because you can just go down, you know, because the scoring part, there are a lot of little components. You score each little terrain tile, and then the little tokens, and then there. So the scoring can be a little bit of a process, but it does give you score sheets to kind of help.
And they're double-sided.
Create that up. And they are double-sided, which is nice. And it comes with a pretty good size pad of them. So
I think that's cool that they made them double-sided.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you know, like most gamers, we can just laminate one of these and then use a little dry erase board, and then, you know, you don't have to deplete them. But yeah, overall, I really felt like the game was awesome. I love the look of it, the aesthetics of it. And I thought the gameplay was pretty fun.
I agree. Me too.
All right, Tony. So what's your final verdict? Is it a winner or a loser?
It's a winner. I liked it.
Thumbs up. I agree. I love it.
Definitely play it again too.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's something I believe we'll keep in our collection for quite a while. It is something when you got family or friends that come over, you can just pull that baby off the shelf, throw it on the table. It's easy to teach, quick to learn, and fun to play.
I agree.
Right on. So it's a winner for us. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Round 1. Fight! Round 2. Fight! Final round. Fight! Finish her!